So good afternoon. I welcome you all to this very important online webinar titled Droneacharya 5, Securing Skies, Neutralizing Threats. This webinar is being organized under the aegis of USI with SWI as a knowledge partner. The objective of the webinar is to discuss the advancement in drone technology, its security, and safety risks, and how this risk can be addressed. For this, the webinar seeks to bring together the armed forces and homeland security perspective along with the government and industry that an in-depth discussion can take place. I would now like to welcome the Director of USI to start the proceedings. Major General B.K. Sharma is the Director of USI, India's oldest think tank, established by the British in 1870. He was conferred 3 military awards by the President of India for rendering exceptional distinguished national service and for displaying courage. He has visited about 35 countries as a member of international delegations and on educational tours. He contributes articles in the Indian and foreign journals and newspapers. He has edited 4 books and number of monographs. Major General B.K. Sharma, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. In fact, at the outset, I extend a very warm welcome on behalf of the USI and Watch India SWI to the eminent panelists and other participants from all over the world. USI, among other activities that we undertake, General Pannu is now curating an advanced military program at the USI under which we are looking at niche and disruptive technologies as a driver of a revolution in military affairs, or we can call in the Indian context an evolution in military affairs. As far as SWI Security Watch India is concerned, they are leaders in in discussions and debate and promotion of niche and disruptive technologies, and have undertaken these Droneacharya series to sensitize the various stakeholders and generate consciousness about this a very important component of modern technology. So we look forward to doing these series with the Security Watch India in times to come. As far as the topic is concerned, I think to an audience like this, it needs no introduction. Suffice it to say that drones have been there for quite a long time, and these are being increasingly used in the commercial domain, also for the surveillance, in the conventional warfare, and more importantly now in the asymmetric warfare. And in the asymmetric warfare, what we have seen that these are being used for taking out the leadership targets, for taking out the military targets, and even the critical infrastructure, and both in the terrorism and used by terrorists, and also as part of our counter-terrorism drive. And we have the examples of Houthis using drones against Saudi Arabia refineries. We know what has happened very recently, how Azerbaijanis use the Turkish drones actually to decimate the mechanized forces in the artillery of Armenian. We know the psychological impact of Jammu micro drone attacks very recently. And now we are looking towards Afghanistan, where Taliban are virtually in power, and probably this drone threat is going to increase far more. And this morning, US has launched some drone attacks against these what you call them, the Daesh or cadres of Islamic State of Khorasan province. So drone and counter drone, this race is there to stay, and it is going to get more and more nasty and far more dangerous in times to come. What has happened now with this GPS enabled drones and with the potential for the swarm attacks, the low noise signature, low heat signature, very small cross section on the radar, and even visual detection, particularly during the night, becoming almost impossible. how do you deal with this threat? Most of these drones are actually available through the easily off the shelf materials. These can be assembled, these can be launched from very small spaces, even rooftops and small open spaces. So how do we deal with this? And this has created a major dilemma for the policymaker in this country. First, how much you put it to use for the commercial use, and how do you deny certain spaces for the drone? So there's a major policy and regulation channel which has come. At the same time, we're finding it extremely difficult to deal with micro drones, because though India is in the process of acquiring some modern technological means for counter drones, but uh, I think it is still remains a work in progress. In the same time, the threat is very much getting more and more pronounced. We also hear that DRDO has also produced some system and it is under some trials. More details about that system are not known. But I would just say that it is high time that the researchers, that means the organizations which are involved in the research on the drone counter drone system, the policy maker, the manufacturers, the suppliers, and the end users across the domain, they come onto the same platform and work together and in tandem to see that we are very soon able to find out some effective system to counter this very, very serious threat. So I think this is an excellent session today, that we have people from different expertise, and this event is going to be steered by General Pannu. About General Pannu, I think he's a very well-known veteran military leader with a brilliant profile, very rich operational experience, has had tenanted very important appointments in India and abroad, and has been involved in the Indian defense and security setup at the policy and doctrine level, being the Deputy Chief of Integrated Defense Staff, dealing both with doctrines and operations. And subsequently, he's been very closely involved in raising the cyber task force, the space task force, and the special forces. After his retirement, he's been involved in seminal work, particularly in the domain of technology. And presently, he is not only holding this chair of military history and strategy with the Valley of Words, but also a distinguished fellow at the USI. So with these words, may I now request General Pannu to continue with the proceedings.
Thank you, General Sharma, Director USI, for my introduction. And also, I would like to thank the USI, especially the Director, who has encouraged and supported the technology vertical and to run the advanced military programs at the USI. Now, technology certainly and distinctly has emerged as a future battle-winning factor and a great force multiplier. In fact, I'll be very happy to share that, in last about month or so, at USI, General Sharma got three chiefs, Army, Navy, and Air Force, and before that, the CDS, to give out their perspectives of their respective services and of the overall security perspectives, and all indicators of modernization were towards indigenization and technology-based warfare. We have been discussing strategies, and we have been discussing doctrines, and we have been discussing history. But I think the future history is going to be written by technology. And today, as we speak about the drones are really no future, but I think it has become contemporary. Every day you listen to news and you find that there is a drone attack. So I would say that, when we talk about the, war of terrorism, you talk about conventional wars, you talk about nuclear wars, I think it has created a new domain altogether, which is the drone warfare, which not only can be utilized for warfare, but also I think it goes much beyond the military arena and also has huge implications towards development. And here I say, there are 4 Ds in the drones, that it contributes to development, it can also be used for huge destruction, and we see that the drones are at play. Of course, General Sharma spoke about the drone attack, which was a precise drone attack announced by the President of India, President of United States of America, who actually, after the attack at the Kabul airport, announced that he would actually get back at those who have attacked the Americans. So this also is being used for strategic signaling. And this is a standoff attack, which is not only done at precise one place, but I think when you come about using drones in numbers put together, even in swarms, it would create a new dimension of warfare. It is a new deterrent, which is usable, while the nuclear deterrent is something which is more of a political tool and is highly controlled. But drones are the ones which can be used by just about anybody. It can be used by a terrorist. It can be used by a non-state, state actors. It is also used for signaling, as I spoke about, and it can be used by anybody in the hinterland. For the internal security, there is a big issue with our police forces because we really cannot detect. To counter drones, you have to detect, you have to identify, you have to target, you have to neutralize, and then later on you have to do forensics. So the whole range of applications which the drones has, also there is a huge range of applications in the counter drone technology. So as a result, the drone threat is real and it is here. And today we sit here together to discuss the strategy and the technology around the drone and the counter drones. I think these deliberations today with all the stakeholders which are factored in today's program are extremely significant. We have the stakeholders here, we have regulators, policymakers, as also users. We have a panel of experts, and I would say that today from the Defense Forces, we have the most important heads of services who are dealing with the aerial attacks. We've got the head of the Army Air Defense, Lieutenant General Goswami, who himself deals with this threat and largely all the aerial attacks, in which drone attacks is going to have a very special significance in the future. We also have the Rear Admiral Menon and Air Vice Marshal Saju, who are actually the heads of air defense, and both would also speak about their perspectives on the air defense and the counter-drone technology and the systems that they're looking for, that they know of, and they would possibly give some guidance to the industry. We also have a perspective on the critical infrastructure protection and the hybrid warfare scenarios. We have amongst us today Shri Jayanto Chaudhary, who is an internal security expert. He was the Director General Police, Assam, and also the DG of the National Security Guard. And today, he's an advisor in the MHA, in the BP-R&D, that is in the research and development of the MHA. We also have the DRDO expert with us, Dr. Arshad, who's a director at the Center for AI and Robotics, who's an expert in cognition and autonomy, that is AI and the unmanned systems with experience of about 15 years. So today with the USI and the SWI, we sit here together with the experts, and we also have the industry and the scientific community listen in what they have to offer to the defense forces and to the government of India as far as counter-drone threat is concerned. How to counter this new challenge, which our country and all over the world, everybody is facing. I would also like to thank Mr. Harry Dhall, the Director General of SWI, who's brought in the regulators and the industry participation to participate in this discussion today. I'd like to invite Mr. Harry Dhall to introduce the speakers and carry forward the conduct of the first two sessions to set the perspective for our discussion. The first two sessions, we are initially talking about emerging counter-drone and technology. To begin with, in session one, he would start with drone policy and the regulations from the security perspective. Over to Mr. Harry Dhall.
Thank you, sir. Welcome everybody to this very timely session. Thanks to USI and General Pannu we've been able to put this together very quickly. And I think we are discussing issues which are actually happening as we speak. If you are watching your TV this morning, you would see that the United States has launched its attacks to counter what happened in Kabul airport. Having said that, I think the subject matter at hand is very exciting. But there's another exciting news, and that is that the government of India, through the Honorable Prime Minister, has released the new drone policy. So I think it's very important for us to understand what is the drone policy, for us to figure out what can be anti-drone policy or the anti-drone strategy.